Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Arcanum Gaming. My name is Richie. Today, we're going to be jumping into a video game called Railroader. It's another early access title that has been super fun so far. I'm really enjoying it. I just discovered it on Steam a few days ago. It is a hybrid of a train driver simulator and railroad company simulator set in the eastern rural United States during the steam to diesel transition era. So I picked up the game over the 4th of July weekend on sale, and I've been putting just a ton of hours into it so far. I haven't gotten hardly anything else done this week, partly because of that. The game is stunningly beautiful. It is an early access. It's been out for, I think, at least a year now. And from what I've played of the game so far and seen of it, it doesn't really feel like an early access game. Like, there's a few user interface things that need to be improved upon. But there's so much content in the game. It is selling for around $30, I think, so it's not cheap. But compared to a lot of other railroad games I've played, it might be my favorite so far, and I've played quite a few. Everything from Train Simulator to Railroad Tycoon 2 and 3, things like that. So we're just going to run a few trains here, kind of give you an idea of how the game works. And you guys can see what you think. I'm sure there's a lot of other videos on YouTube you can check out if you want to see more. So let's go ahead and grab this guy to start. So the way that the game plays, there's a couple of different modes. You have single player, you have multiplayer, and then in single player, and I think also in multiplayer, there's a sandbox mode. Which will let you do just about anything you want. You can spawn in any trains. You have the whole map open and available to play. Or you can play in the campaign mode, which is what I'm doing right now, where you start off your company. You begin the game in this area right here. I haven't expanded out in this save file yet. You have the town of Whittier, the town of Ella, and then the Connolly. It's kind of like a logging town, but there's not really any buildings or anything up there. So I just gotta focus real quick, make sure that my switches are set so that the train doesn't crash into anything on its way into the town. There are two different cameras in the game. You have the third-person kind of floaty camera, which is what I'm using now. It's what I primarily use while I'm playing the game. There's also a first-person cam, which you can see over here in one of my other locomotives. My character is in the driver's seat there, but that's not the train I'm operating right now. So we're going to stick with the overhead camera. In the game, you have a mixture of passenger and freight services that are available to you. The passenger service is just kind of a thing by default. You don't have to do it, but it affects your company's reputation if you don't. Which you can see here on kind of the company overview page. Your reputation, your passenger service. Passenger equipment condition was not 100%, but I believe I just repaired that. You can take a look here. Yep, conditions at 100% for the coach. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and go into the settings there and tell it to be ready to pick up passengers once it gets to the station here. And let's go ahead and set the AI. So the game does have an element of AI. You can set specific trains to an AI engineer and it will control the train for you to a certain extent. Basically, will allow you to run while you're doing other things. Make sure that I picked the right station on the coach there. Yes. Okay. So currently, because of what I have available in the game via the map here, I only have Whittier and Ella available. Those are the only two passenger stops. But the map is quite extensive, and you can see that through various tasks you can increase your railroad's access all the way out to all these different places. But I'm at the very beginning area of the game because I started a different save file and I tried to expand too quickly instead of building up. Oops, hang on a second. There's a few quirks with the AI. So I just got to run the train back here and stop it at the station so it picks up all these passengers that are waiting. And then it can proceed on to Ella. So if we take a look here, we've got a couple of the industries that I have access to here at the beginning of the game. We've got the Stenzel Manufacturing, and then I forget what the name of the heating and oil company is, Hollofield. So you'll get cars at the interchange back where the engine shed was, and then you'll have to deliver to them to those areas, which you can see on their waybills here where it wants them to be delivered. I'll show you that a little bit more once we actually get to freight duties. Right now I'm setting up the passenger train. Okay. Alright, once they get all loaded up, then I'll turn the AI back on and let the train get about its business, and then we'll go back and do some of the freight shunting duties. Alright, we're back. So I just set the passenger train to go ahead about its business and run those passengers up to Ella, and then once it gets up there, we will stop it, have it fill up its passenger car at that station, and return to Whittier. In the meantime, let's go ahead and grab our logging tank engine here and send it up to Connolly to pick up some wood, which we will be using to service the sawmill here. And it looks like we do have some freight cars here that are filled up with wood and ready to go back to the interchange, which we'll deal with our switcher in just a little bit. But let's get the tank engine moving for now. I'm going to throw it into reverse there, let off the brakes. So again, I tend to play this game mostly. Oops. Forgot that I uncoupled from the train before I shut the game down yesterday. So let's run back up here. Okay. Oh dear. The overhead camera can be a little bit finicky sometimes, but still a bit easier to manage, in my opinion, than the first-person view. Although I have seen a lot of people playing the game that prefer the first-person view, so really whatever is more your cup of tea. But let's go ahead and back our tank engine up here. We'll get it up the hill to collect those logs, and then we'll start doing some switching here. Alright, now we got that switch closed, send it forward. And now that that switch is open, we can go ahead and set it to AI and let the AI engineer take it up the mountain to collect that wood. Alright, while we're waiting for that to get done, we're going to go ahead and start shunting out some of those freight cars that we have ready to go at the sawmill. And once we collect those, then we will run them back here to the interchange track, pick up the new cars that were delivered, and shunt those into the sidings that they need to be in. Looks like everything we have here is for the sawmill. So we won't be switching any of the other industries at the moment, although I believe I do need to grab one car that I saw in Whittier and run that back to the interchange. Looks like everything that's on the siding here needs to go. So think of, like I started to say earlier in the video, when you start out the scenario mode, you get the two most basic weak beginner engines. One of them is functional, the other one you have to repair by shunting repair parts into the engine shed / repair tracks. You also have to shunt the engine there off of this track over here, as it was derailed. I don't have either of the basic engines at this point in the game because I have upgraded them already, replaced them, and bought a third engine. You can see here the list of available locomotives. There are no pictures. It will just give you the stats. So these top two are the two engines that you start with at the beginning of the scenario mode. And then the three engines that I am operating now, I have this one right here, number 1, which is the S23 switcher. The tank engine that you saw was the K28T logging tank. And then the one running the passenger service is my A26 Atlantic. And I have named each one of them just because I prefer names over numbers, because like a lot of people, probably I got my love of trains from growing up watching Tom's the Tank Engine and things like that. So I like to give my locomotive names. My company name is Evergreen. You get to pick your company name. You can pick a random one, or you can name it yourself. You can also customize the numbers and text and stuff on your locomotives. So this one, for instance, you can change the type of horn or whistle that it has, its running number, and its reporting mark. The reporting mark doesn't actually show anything on the main locomotive, but if you look at the tenders and go into your equipment, then you can give it a custom name. Anyway, let's jump over here back to locomotive 2 real quick. So it should be loading up passengers for Whittier Depot. And we will need to switch it into reverse because the AI, as far as I can tell, doesn't seem to be able to figure out to run back once it reaches the end of the passenger service, because technically the end of the line goes up to where the bridge is. So we have to go in there and do that manually at the moment. We can go ahead and jump back to Oliver here, loco number 1. Make sure that we select the controls for that one. And then we will go ahead and run up here and collect these cars for the outgoing interchange. Go ahead and grab this one with wood chips first, and then we'll come back and grab the dimensional lumber cars. And once the logging tank engine gets up to the top of Connolly, I will advance the game a little bit in time. So it'll be a little bit later in the day. We'll have a little better lighting, I think, to see with. But I don't want to do that until it parks, because once it parks, it will need to spend time collecting the actual logs before it runs back down the mountain. And so far, it seems that about 1 hour is what it takes to fill up those 8 log cars. So let's go ahead and slow down. You don't want to couple faster than about 5 miles an hour. Otherwise, you will have an accident, which can possibly derail your train. It can also just cause damage to the train, which reduces, for the cars, like it reduces how much money they earn when they collect money either from being shunted into a service or onto the interchange. And then for the locomotives, it reduces their performance once they've taken condition damage. I don't know at what percent that starts taking effect, so I'm trying to keep everything at 90% or better right now. Again, I've only been playing the game for a few in-game days. I think we're at 1 week now. We're at day 7. Okay. If you guys want to know more specifics about, things in the game, how certain things are played, in a future video, we can go back through the tutorial, but I've already played that through twice now on 2 different saves. It is optional, but I did it just to refresh the second time. I've already put several hours into this game, even though I've only owned it for a few days. Because, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. It's very rapidly become my favorite train game, and again, I haven't ventured much out of the starting area yet, even. And looks like we're actually gonna pause here real quick before we finish our shunting here. We're gonna run up and grab locomotive 3, which is Molly. Now that we're up here collecting logs, we're gonna go ahead and fast forward time 1 hour. And there's our train, nice and full of logs and ready to head back down to the sawmill. So we're going to switch you back, to reverse. Normally you would have to go in and set these points, but I already set them in advance to make this run up and down the mountain. It's the perfect track length for these 8 cars, even though there's a couple other spots where you can pick up logs. This one is one of the farther ones up, but again, it's just easier for consistency. So, consistency with the AI operations, I mean. Alright, so let's jump back here to number 1 and run these cars over to the interchange. The AI engineers will do the horns and the bell and everything automatically. I'm usually pretty bad about doing that. Play more for the fun of railroading than the realism of it, personally. In addition to video gaming and disc golf, like I've also talked about on this channel a bit, if you've watched any of my other videos like the Flex Disc Golf and stuff like that, I very much love model railroading. That's another one of my big hobbies. You can't see it on camera here, but off to my left, I'm working on building a model railroad in my office here. as we speak. But that's probably not something that I'm going to show off on this channel. Maybe briefly in a future one of these videos if people want to see it. That's something we could take a look at. We're sitting at $1,000 from our passenger service, so I need to go back into the finances tab here. I did take out a little bit of a loan so that I could buy that tank engine, just to increase my efficiency for running up to collect logs while I'm doing my shunting duties down here. And the passenger service is running in the background. And once I build this up a bit more, I want to buy a second coach for my passenger train. And then after I have that and a bit more money saved up, then I'm going to go back and continue the railroad expansion out to another section of the map. But like I said last time, I tried to do that a little bit prematurely for me. So before I was really comfortable with the game, I had expanded too much, and then I had cars going really far out and passenger service that I needed to reach at distant parts of the map when I still only had the two basic locomotives, and it was a bit of a struggle, so I decided to restart the game and be a little bit more smart with what I was doing there. And it's been working out really well so far on the save. As you can see, I'm doing well financially. I've only got $1,000 left to pay off on that loan that I took out. I've got 3 more advanced, powerful locomotives. Alright, let's go ahead and stop the train here. Good, we should collect a good chunk of change for those cars. Oh, we get 350, pretty good. Let's jump over to number 2 again. We're going to another thing with the passengers, you have to go in and select the car each time and tell it to pick up passengers for the next destination instead of it just remembering automatically, which I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it's okay. It's pretty manageable. You just have to remember to click on it and when you're going to change the direction of the locomotive each time. Let's jump back to number 3. Should be getting pretty close to the bottom of the mountain there. Yep. Go back here, make sure that the switches were still lined correctly. So this one is lined perfect. Then head back over here to Whittier. Make sure that I closed that switch. I did. Okay. So once it gets back here, we'll have to stop it about at the coaling tower and shunt those cars back into the industry yard there for the sawmill. While we're waiting for that to get a little bit closer, we can go ahead and uncouple Oliver here. Get him running back so we can run around and pick up those new cars that have to go into the sawmill. Actually, we're going to stop him again real quick because Molly's just about back. So as you can see, the game is absolutely gorgeous. Um, there's definitely some scenery things that I think could be improved on. Um, there's really, other than your player character, there's no other like characters in the game. There's no cars driving by, no passengers in the cars or in the station, no people at working at any of the industries. That's stuff that I would love to see in the future. Nothing like that is currently in the game. But let's go ahead and stop the train there. And we will set it forward and run those cars back into the siding there. With the two bigger engines that I have, they've got pretty good coal and water reserves with their big tenders. I gotta keep a little bit closer eye on the tank engine. Because obviously it's a tank engine, not a tender engine, so it doesn't have as big a water capacity. Or coal capacity for that matter. Okay. She is parked, so now over time the logs will slowly disappear like that as they're consumed by the sawmill, which we need to now shunt those other cars back into these the industry tracks over here for them so that they can make use of that wood. So let's jump back over here, get Oliver going again, and then after I shunt these cars into the sawmill industry, then I'll show you a little bit more of the map just with the overhead camera. Because I really haven't fully explored it. I've looked a little bit at Bryson, which is the first main connection that you can make, which adds all of this section of the map. Which basically doubles what you've already got. I have not flown down over here to Silva. Or any of the other farther western sections of the map. So maybe we'll just do a fly down to Silva and take a look at what that area is. If you guys want, I can take you up to Bryson, or maybe we'll save that for the next video. Maybe the next video that I will do is on working on the expansion over to Bryson. This is what the first-person mode looks like in the cab. You can actually, pull everything, but I'm going to jump back out here real quick. Just so make sure I don't actually accidentally crash into these cars, because that would be bad for my reputation and my engine's condition. Okay. A little bit harder than I would have liked, but should be alright. I'm going to turn off the handbrake there. Make sure that we're lined out on the switch. Yes, we are. Alright, so we've got two cars here going to the wood chip track, and then we should have four going to the... Well, we got five. Five actually going to the dimensional lumber tracks. Okay. While we're waiting for that to run up a little bit farther, let's go ahead and check in on number 2. See on the map we're approaching L there. Still got a little ways to go. We'll go ahead and turn off the waybills just so it looks a little bit nicer. I know the front two are going to this track right here, which if you highlight over the waybill, if you're close enough, it will actually show you the track they want to go to, or tracks. Since I've been playing a little bit, I am familiar with these already. Let's go and stop the train, set the switch, and run back in. Now I'm not going too fast with the switcher here. The mainline switches are designed to be gone over no faster than 25 miles an hour, and the yard switches are 15 or less. If you try to go too fast, you can derail, which is not good, obviously. So if you keep the reverser at the maximum, it won't go much above 15 unless you're going downhill, like right here, which is good. The closer you move the reverser to neutral, it actually increases the efficiency of the steam, and then the train will move faster. But don't need to worry too much about that at the moment. I hope I've got enough track here. Yes, I do. Alright, so we're coming up to the limit of that lead there. We could probably get, say, one more car at most, so we're maxed out there at, what is that, 7 cars? We have 7 right now, so we could probably get 8. I could maybe sneak in 9 if I use the tank engine instead of the switcher here. Alright, so let's make sure our points are lined. Actually, we're going to take a quick stop there so we can run over here. Get the passenger train ready to go on its return journey. And I did fuel up that one before the game, before I turned the game off last night, so shouldn't need to worry about refueling again for a couple of in-game days, at least. Go down here. So we got 50 passengers waiting to go to Whittier. So we're getting pretty close to the limit of the first passenger car. It's about time to buy a second one. As soon as I can afford it, I'm going to. In order to buy the basic coach, we need to get to, oh, let's see, we have a discount because of reputation, so we need to get to just over $4,000 for that one. The one that I would like to buy is the observation car, which actually gives you a monetary bonus if it's the last car in the train. However, it only carries 25 passengers, whereas the other ones carry it, 50, 60, or 84 for this one. But in the other save, I did end up buying 2 coaches, which is why I never had another locomotive, and I wasn't shunting the lumber at the time, which is where a significant portion of the early game money comes from. You want to be getting those log cars and servicing the sawmill as early as you possibly can. Because if you take a look at the finances here, you'll see we get a lot of money from doing those logs here. I guess we can't go back farther than that, but that's okay. You see, you got $1,000 on day 5. That's just from the lumber portion. On day 6, where is it? Did I not have lumber on day 6? Oh, I did. It just wasn't much. So I must have been overstocked. And then on day 7, I increased the tier which I'm surveying the industry so they actually use more wood and service more cars every day, and I got 2,500 for that day. The first day was like 2,000, and then like 1,000 ish for subsequent ones. So we'll throw this guy into forward here and run these cars up. So let me know what you guys think of the game. Is this your first time seeing it? Have you seen anybody else play it? Have you played it yourself? What other types of railroad games do you like? Like I said, I've played a whole mix of different games on this, different spectrums as far as Railroad Tycoon goes, all the way up to not Railroad Simulator, Train Simulator. And, the games like Train Simulator, they're too focused on the actual, oh dear, that's too fast. Oh dear. Okay. Locomotive didn't take any damage. Did we derail anything? I should have been paying more attention to that. We did take very minor damage on that end car there. How about this one? A little bit there as well. That could have been a lot worse though, so. Where was I? Like I was saying, games like Train Simulator are just a little bit too focused on the actual like control and operation of the locomotive, balancing the steam and everything, making sure that it has the right mix and all that to actually operate. And then there's games like Railroad Tycoon, which are, all about the company management, but not as much about the actual trains themselves. And this game is a good balance in the middle. Like I said, you can control the locomotive from the cab, do all that stuff manually if you want to. I usually don't. I much more prefer this kind of overhead view. But every once in a while, I guess I do jump into the cab and, enjoy that aspect of it as well. So yeah, it's a good game. Put a lot of time into it so far and enjoying every minute of it. Having played a lot of other railroad games, some good, some not as good. I was a little bit hesitant to put $30 into it. But the reviews were really good. And I can see why I've really enjoyed it. Oh, interesting. I forgot to connect the air on those cars. That's why it didn't slow down fast enough when I shunted into the other siding over there. Good to know it wasn't just me then. Alright, so we're up at 873. We need a little bit more money there, and then I'll be able to pay off the rest of that loan. And then in another in-game day or two, I should have enough money to buy a second passenger car. And then a few days after that, then should be able to start expanding to the next section of the map. How are we doing on fuel here? Good on water. We're doing okay on coal. We've probably got another day or two in game before I need to fuel up. It's going to take a little bit of in-game time for those logs to get consumed by the industry here. And then once those are done, then we can do another logging run. In the meantime, let's go ahead and Actually, we'll just fuel up number 1 right now and then park it. And then we'll fly down to Silva and check out that part of the map. So one thing I really like is that a lot of little details like this where you can see things like the fuel filling up. When we open up the water hatch, you'll be able to see that filling up as well as it gets close to the top. And we're getting pretty close to where I'm going to need to order some more coal for the railroad as well. I need to keep an eye on that. I've got 15 tons left out of 50 that I started the game with. Oops. Oh. You don't need to be perfectly precise on it, but it is always nice to be precise. It's a little bit off there, but it still recognized the water tank. As you can see. So let's go ahead and make sure we're lined into the shed there, which we are. That's full. Let's go ahead and back her up. And Parker, or him, all right. Now that we're parked, we got a station stop here to deal with, and then we'll do our fly down. All right, let's head on down to Silva. All right, here we are at the end of the Whittier interchange. I'm just going to take you on a manual fly down here because I'm not entirely sure what all there is to see. Use a little bit of the speed up here. So at the beginning of the game, this section of the railroad is owned by a different railroad, which services your interchange there in Whittier. But you can buy this portion of the railroad down here from that railroad, which will move your interchange all the way down here and add a couple more passenger stops and some more, I believe there's freight industry down here as well. But I haven't actually looked at this part of the map. Alright, so it looks like we got a siding here for passing trains since we only have a single track main line. What we got down here? Okay, so it looks like we've got 2 minor industry tracks. I'm guessing one of these is a house track, or maybe both are. Which are just like generalized goods for the area, not necessarily any industries. Can we actually see those? Okay, we can't see it on the location section yet because we don't have it unlocked. But we do have a station here at Wilmot. Okay, and you can see some aspects like this in the game that I feel like need to be improved on a little bit more before it's really finished. Like this road just ends here at the river. There needs to be like a bridge that goes up there into like a town area or something like that. I would like to see that. I don't know if they have plans to do anything like that. Again, it just comes over here and terminates. There's no traffic, even giving the illusion that there's any sign of life. There's no people at the station. And this area, I guess it makes sense because technically we haven't unlocked it yet. But, back up around like Whittier and Ella, there should be activity or something like that. Just to make the game feel a little bit more alive. That's the major thing I would like to see in this game moving forward as the early access progresses. But the colors and the textures and everything are really beautiful. The water effects. There's moving water already. Absolutely gorgeous. This looks like another long siding here between Wilmot and what is this next town? Oh, would you look at that? There is a truck. One stationary truck parked here at this crossing. That's nice to see. Looks like this is, or will be, some kind of an industry if it isn't already. And there is a road bridge here. Does this go anywhere? No, not yet. Anyway. Well, what do you know? There's something to see. That's cool. It's obviously not moving or anything, but... Alright, let's continue on down here. Where was that on the map, actually? Barker's. There was one little siding there. It's nice, long, wide. Oh, we have a tunnel. That's exciting. Can we go through the tunnel? No, we can't. Okay, so I guess we'd have to be in a locomotive to go through the tunnel there. We'll have to check that out when I eventually unlock the section. I don't know if I'm going to unlock this section first or save it for later, because it would move the interchange down here, and then I'd have to bring cars all the way from down here up to service these industries that I'm already working on. I will probably leave that as it is for now and expand to Bryson so that I can continue the passenger service and maintain these 3 industries that I've got mainly going. Alright, so here we are in the next little town along this section here, which is Dillsborough. I guess Cowie was that siding that we passed, which is also probably what Barker's was, not that industry, the name of the siding. So we got Dillsborough, which is another little station here. So I guess... So this is lined up as the main line. We got the station. I guess both of these probably function as station stop tracks. Got one siding here, which might be an industry or might not. And then this looks like it's probably the house track here, if I had to guess. Got another water tower at this point in the run, which is nice to see. Again, we have a station here, but we have another road that ends. Got a couple more little bits of road up here that go off into the countryside. This is actually surprisingly long. Where does this go to? Does this run the whole way? Interesting. That kind of runs along the way there. But there's nothing on it. There's no cars, there's no houses, no other, signs of anything being here. This road just goes up here and ends again. Little things to explore, though. Stuff that's nice to see. Okay, where were we? Back here at, was it Dillsborough? Dillsborough, yeah. Moving on along the line here. Should be coming up to Silva finally. So if I expanded this way instead, it would move all of my freight traffic all the way back down here, which would be a little bit annoying to deal with alongside running the passenger train, but it would give me 3 more passenger stops. And even though freight is more profitable, I much prefer passenger service in train games and stuff like that than I do freight. Alright, then we move on down here from Silva. We've got our interchange yard, and it looks like some industry here as well. Looks like a bunch of industry here. 2 for this business, 3 for this business. whatever they are. This looks like another logging thing. So we need to run logs all the way down from Connolly to service this, most likely. Not sure what these businesses are. This would be, what is this, another house track kind of thing? For the Silva area. So the interchange is back here. This is just industry around Silva. Interesting. Okay, and then the interchange is all the way back here. So this is where we get our brand new cars and bring cars for delivery once they were full or empty, depending on the industry. And let's just run to the end of the line here and see where this goes. So it looks like this is just the terminus of the map here. Yep, so this is technically where the other railway would pick up. Or would it be up here? Where does this go? Is this even on the map? Yes, it is. Okay. But where does that run to? This does run alongside. Interesting. So it runs parallel, but it's not connected to anything over here. It just runs up here to a dead end. I wonder if this is another logging area. I guess we'll have to find out once I eventually unlock this section of the map, but okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump back to our passenger train. Get that guy set up to run back down to Whittier. All right, so we didn't cover a whole lot in this episode. We just, showed a little bit of the operations, some of the map. We can get into some more details in future videos about how the actual industry and things like that work. But for now, I think we're going to call it there for the day. Again, let me know what you guys think about this game. Are you interested in it? Have you played it? Are you into railroading stuff, model railroading? And yeah. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice day.